Ravenfield is an early access single-player sandbox first-person shooter. You wouldn't think of a game like this as the place to find mystery and intrigue, but trust me when I say Ravenfield has more than you could ever imagine. All of this starts back in 2016 when the Ravenfield beta was released to the website itch.io. Back then, it was as simple as could be, red versus blue, an all-time classic matchup. It had some updates, then got added to the Steam Greenlight program which used to exist, look it up if you don't know, it's pretty interesting, and then was officially added to Steam on May 18th, 2017. Along with this came probably its greatest feature, modding. You can add custom weapons, maps, skins, vehicles, modifiers, and UI to the game, but that's not the subject of this video. Early Access Update 8 added mostly features to the enemy bots like better reaction times and pathfinding, but is also the beginning of a secret plot. By going to the temple map and walking far into the southeast, you could find a UFO. By kicking this UFO, you begin to bleed and then are killed. Then going to the coastline map, added in the very same update, after getting a victory in any mode a cutscene will play in which a UFO appears, is shot out of the sky, and then the weapon which it's done with, the railgun, is given to you and you're told to keep it from falling into the wrong hands. Or should I say, would have played, were you on update 8. In more recent updates, this happens instead. There's nothing. You just see a flash in a helicopter. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like the cutscene has been censored in some way, manipulated. Maybe by the Ravens. Not only that, but as you can see after loading into another match quickly after, the railgun which I was supposed to have unlocked simply isn't there. As if it's been stopped from falling into my hands. Again, there was a period of nothing happening until EA 17. Along with other unimportant things such as maps in a game mode, a quest was added. 6 scrolls must be collected, and in order to do that, you have to start a game at the 7th, 27th, or 47th minute of an hour. The intervals apparently used to be 10 minutes at the time, but that's not really relevant. You go from one capture point to the general area of another, following crystals that pop up as you walk around and collect the texts. Let's see them in order. Finally, after this, you get to the temple, which allows you to see one final 7th scroll, the Lost Scroll. After yet another trail, you're brought to the boss fight. There is no official name for this thing, so I'll call it the Ghost. Using the crystal inside its body, it fires out little energy beams all around. To defeat it, you must get the aforementioned crystal to explode 3 times. Then the 9th and final trail will appear. This will then give you the Resistance Sword. None of that makes a lot of sense lore-wise, so I'll try to do my best to clear it up. And also, just to note, my interpretation is very different from Something Special's similar video, but you should go watch his anyways, as it's really good. I'll link it below. An empire broken and forgotten. Desperate for peace. Sounds like some nation has been ravaged by warfare, no big surprise there. Dusk usually symbolizes the end of the day, of things happening, so probably this envoy brings a message in a bottle of some sort of peaceful finality to the war. I can actually prove this point further, as skipping ahead, the Zephyr, a western wind, is based on the Greek god Zephyrus, who brought spring and summer breezes and is known as a very peaceful god. Now, we all know the classic fork in the road metaphor, so some sort of choice was made, causing that message of peace to shatter. Someone leaves their duty, probably the person who was meant to deliver the message, but they are still guided to peace. A cleaver is then made, and as that peace begins, it's taken away just as quickly by a roaring wind, a chaotic force. What these lines look like to me are some sort of high command. That departure from duty earlier could be the leader, and then after they left, someone seized power. Yet the sun still rose, and another alliance awakened to fight off this person, who is now on a conquest, which was probably what the disagreement, the bottle cracking, was about. Whoever was in charge of these forces didn't want to continue the bloodshed, but someone did, and so the leader left, but he still managed to find a way to push back by creating a new alliance to stop the team he was a part of. I also tried to figure out where that cleaver fits in, and the only real thing I could come up with is that they found some new weapon to use, maybe nuclear, bio, I have no idea. A group that was being held down by the large force of conquest is now asking for help. An overture is usually beginning to something, and equilibrium means balance, so now the alliance is starting to hold their ground against the invasion. A blade quenched inside the Cyclone's doomed eye. This one you're going to have to stick with me, I promise it'll make sense. Any cyclone is usually portrayed as a large and powerful force. That blade represented a weapon which was used against their eye, which for a military force would most likely be their communication hub, which would have all their information and spy satellites and things of that nature synced up, so say goodbye to the data center. The next part, I think, focuses on this alliance, as they had done the damage and broken up the large force. This word here, avarice, gives a completely different meaning to everything else though. Avarice is a fancier way to say greed. Not power greed, but money greed. This could be the original thing which cracked the bottle in the beginning of this. Not a quest for bloodshed, but profit. Someone seized power with the help of those seeking to make money, and the cycle continued. We Depart, though, gave me a very different feeling, especially with it being called the Lost Scroll. These lines have a very Palpatine vibe to them, and honestly I think that's the perfect example because as far as I can tell, they aren't talking to Raven or Eagle separately, they're talking to both, as both, in Ravenfield, literally stain the field with the color of their whatever this is. From all that, there seems to be some sort of group that is forcing the Ravens and Eagles to fight, guiding them secretly to continue the conflict and cycle. This ghost also appears to be Ravenborn, as this red coffin in the temple makes the most sense for where his body would be. I'm gonna put a pin in this subject now and move on. Loading into another match, I found that it was the same as the railgun. The sword was nowhere to be found within my inventory. But somehow the railgun was? How could it have not been there before and suddenly appear now? Disregarding all of that, this thing can definitely pack a punch. The next major update to the story came in the form of a single character. EA23 added Eyes, who is only viewable in Spec Ops mode on the Eagle team. He relays enemy locations and information to Talon. After this, on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2021, this was posted to the Ravenfield Steam Activity Area page thing. This announcement officially told people that Ravenfield was to get a 3-act story campaign. It featured these headshots of characters that would later get added to the game. It then took until July 28, 2023, a full 2 years after that announcement, for EA27, the story mission update, to release. It starts off with a group of full, highly trained Spec Ops advisors. This is supposed to be Talon team, I don't even know what happened here. Anyways, the plan for them is to have Talon sneak in and blow the runway, at which point the rest of the Eagle army will begin their assault on the Citadel. To begin this mission and stay stealthy, you need to sneak your way around, or far more easily, just kill them all. Now with Walker, and Walker dead, you can make your way farther up the slope, taking out this turret emplacement and some other troops. After that, you'll be caught by a man who can literally see through walls. The most powerful soldier in Raven's arsenal, this stupid guy. Having been detected, the courtyard is quickly cleared and the team drops down to the basement. Firefight and you're up on the roof, where this shows up. This is an early access game. What's supposed to happen is Talon begins to set up bombs, are attacked, and then they manage to explode the place anyway, presumably at the cost of the entire team. But the assault begins nonetheless. Then taking control of a tank operator, Rick says go, and the force on the west side is quickly able to take the bunker, followed by the east side. Both sides then move in for a pincer attack. After quite a few losses, the courtyard is cleared and Blue tries to inform Command, who doesn't answer. They realize that more Ravens could be hiding in the underground bunker, and Command finally responds and gives them the go-ahead to breach using an armored personnel carrier. Yet another quick, and this time Hollywood-style clear, and the mission is over. Obviously there isn't much we can take out of this, but there are some things. First off, the Eagles obviously are on the offensive, but also the fact that the entire map appears to be designed around that. This made me realize I should probably look at the maps more, and some of the things I saw struck me as quite interesting. For example, the Raven spawn, yes, I'm going to be calling spawn points canon because the Citadel layout for the story mission and its default layout are the exact same, deal with it. The Raven spawn on Dust Bowl seems to be much more fortified and purposeful, whereas the Eagle spawn is split up and structured haphazardly. On Archipelago it's even more obvious, with Raven controlling a small airbase and Eagle only having an aircraft carrier, no onshore points. The map Canyon, though, is likely the map with the absolute most relevance, especially because at first it almost seems like the exact opposite of the other maps. Eagle appears to have a complete compound with their dam, and Raven has a broken aircraft carrier. Not only that, but there are large pools of water all over the map, and what looks to be a large lake or the ocean on the other side of the dam. So does this mean that the Ravens are on the offensive? Well, I think so, but not in the way you would assume. This is a deceptively simple design, but we need to look closer, and trust me, it's important. Up on the hill here is no compound or base at all, but instead a simple area that appears to be for powering something at the dam. There are also these two large towers, which appear to be intake towers, similar to the 4 found at the Hoover Dam in Las Vegas. In fact, a lot here seems very similar in design to the Hoover Dam. The towers, the little stone pillars, and the underside here. Notably though, while the purpose of the Hoover is to provide electricity to Las Vegas, there isn't any infrastructure on this one which seems like it could send electricity away from the dam. In fact, these boxes here are much more similar to industrial diesel generators. Another large part of this mystery is this very obvious hole I've been purposely not mentioning until now. It doesn't look like a structural failure of any sort, as when holes do happen during those, they look like this, and larger failures look more like this. Or this would be more accurate size-wise. If ravens really were on the attack, why would they drain out the very water keeping their ship afloat? There's also this camp, and the fact that much of the water, or at the very least moisture in the ground, has already dried out. Also again, with the way that this dam was built, this seems to be a door for whenever the water got just a little too high. On that subject, looking at the door and some other images of the Hoover lead me to believe that the water level normally would be about here. Finally, and very importantly, why in the hell would an aircraft carrier go towards a dam? It can't go around it. How do all these facts tell a story, though? Well, here's what I think happened, and if you think this is dumb, leave a comment or something, I don't know. The purpose of this dam is nothing but that, a dam. Water enters here, and goes out here. At some point, a plan is drawn up by Raven Command. They are going to sail an aircraft carrier into the edge of Raven and Eagle territory with as many troops and planes as they can, and then either create a small base near the dam where they dock, or work as a surprise attack force during a larger battle. Either way, Eagle learns of this and sends a small force to the dam, capturing it quickly. They then lie in wait until the Raven ship finally shows, and blow the hole you see here. They don't expose themselves to being seen yet though, and hide out in their little area waiting for, presumably, an order from their own command to attack. During this time though, the Raven soldiers create their little camp as a sort of forward operating base in order to scout the surrounding area more. Doing some more research, here is a list of all 17 official maps in Ravenfield currently. Now, here's the side that is attacking, or at least on the offensive in some way. Obviously, it looks pretty even in the majority of cases, but there seems to be more Eagle offensives than Raven ones. Now, I think this does mean something, so let's put it on the timeline. Everything starts equal with the original island, then Eagle attacks. It goes equal, Raven tries an attack, and Eagle launches a counterattack. And then it remains equal throughout the rest of the time. Now, I know this video is getting long, so I'll speed the next two parts up, and I'll wrap everything up at the end. The next real update for the story was EA35, the Nothing update. This update majorly consisted of back-end changes to the game, but also released on April 1st, so of course it had something else as well. On the map rafts, you can find a detective badge sitting here on this box in the middle. Then, talking to others, you learn that there's something on the Citadel. Going there, you'll find a lantern, and after a walk with it, some seeds. Then, going to Dust Bowl and kicking open the mine door, you'll find a key card along with drawings of a bunker of some sort, a farm, and a frog. Talking to some more grunts with the detective badge, you find out that they seem to be very excited about a volleyball game. Also on the island, you can input your keycard into the silo door to get inside a bunker. After a quick puzzle, you start going in this direction, and this ghost here seems to have the same loadout as me. That's odd. I hope that doesn't mean anything. Did we just time travel? Shit, does that mean I have to watch that Chrono Trigger video? Talking to yet another grunt, they don't recognize us, but say we can help take island by taking farm. Some dead ravens later, and farm is taken, allowing us to plant our seeds. A very obvious joke later, and we time travel back to the current island to find that a giant beanstalk has grown from our garden. We find the frog, who gives us a set of keys, and this stabilizes the lily pad we were standing on. Finally, we get our reward for this wasn't a journey, maybe a quest, and we get to drive the tractor. Is this maybe the weapon that they were talking about in the scrolls? Some indestructible? Not even close. It's simply a tractor, but I'm gonna make sure it doesn't fall into enemy hands all the same. Now, how do I bring all these loose threads together? Well, first off, there's a timeline. I have to update that with all the other things. There we go. Also, I have to bring to your attention quite a few things. 1. Haunted mode exists, which, funnily enough, has undead and focuses on a crystal. What a coincidence. And 2. The original plan for the story campaign was recently scrapped, but the developers have said that they are committed to at least finishing this one story mission. Along with that, the roguelike arcade mode was added temporarily, at least according to the devs, replacing Conquest. Anyways, loose threads, how do we do it? Palpatine. That's right, this entire story is just Star Wars. This group of people who scattered off and are playing both teams is just Star Wars. The biggest proof of my point is right here. Let's look at Spec Ops mode and the campaign. In Spec Ops mode, this is the Raven leader, shrouded in darkness, who guides his team. And these are the people in charge of the Eagle Army. In the Clone Wars, Palpatine was this dark evil figure on one side, and on the other side, the illusion of democracy existed. Multiple people were involved, but it still turned out badly, as they were simply and easily overruled.
So this is how liberty dies. With thunderous applause.
Like they said, power corrupts. If I had to guess, this is the man behind it all. The man playing both sides for profit and power. He finds a special crystal and makes a weapon from it. No normal weapon though. This is a weapon that raises the dead. This is what that cleaver was earlier, and could literally be the resistance sword. It was created to fight off the conquest of a terrible enemy, but was eventually used to continue the fight. Think about it, what's cheaper than soldiers, especially if you need tons of them? Not clones, not robots, but raising the dead. This is why ravens and eagles will respawn when they die. This evil group is selling this tool to both sides in order to profit immensely. These are literally zombies, and that includes you. They are censoring things to make sure you don't find out about the supernatural unless it helps them. This mode isn't a classic zombies defense, it's a proof of concept for their product. This never-ending war has never-ending fuel. But what's their end goal? Just profit or something worse? I have no idea. Yeah, as a reminder, Ravenfield is an early access game. It will improve over the course of its development, and we won't know the full story until at least the story mission is complete. So until then, remember, that's just a theory.
60 First Avenue.
A theory, yeah. I feel it's gonna have something to do with the volleyball. Thanks for watching.